Yeah, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. In this video now, before I start this video, because a lot of you, certainly my clients who are watching this, they've clicked on this and they've thought, hang on Pat, I thought you said there's no such thing as a mistake in a language. Thought mistakes didn't exist, so why now have you titled this 5 common mistakes English natives make when speaking Spanish? Well, clickbait, isn't it? People click on these types of videos. I normally don't like these videos. I think it's very negative, Don't focus on, the mistakes you're making. Focus on the things you're doing well. But I thought about it, and this would actually be a very useful video for you guys. So without further ado then, let's take a little look at the 5 top mistakes I see my clients make when speaking Spanish. So number 1, it's a classic, ser and estar. They both mean to be or not to be. Well, you've got 2 options to be in Spanish. Ser is a more permanent state of being, yes? Yo soy inglés, I am English. Yeah? Estoy bien, I am well. Estoy, I think of it like this. Estar is like my estate. What is my estate of being, yes? Estoy bien, estoy feliz, estoy triste. Ser, permanent. Alright guys, this is one thing I see English speakers get confused, and it's normal, by the way. Don't worry about making this mistake, because people can understand you, and it's not the easiest thing to get, especially when you can actually swap them around. Sometimes, for example, you might hear someone say soy feliz. They're saying soy feliz because they're saying I'm happy, like maybe I'm happy in my life, in my job, in my relationship. Soy muy feliz. But the normal way of saying it would probably be estoy feliz. It can change the meaning of words as well, by the way, guys. With this one, you've got things like listo. If you say to someone, ¿estás listo? Yeah, saying, are you ready? Yeah, estar listo means to be ready. However, if you say ser listo, eres listo, that means you're smart, which I quite like, because that makes sense, right? If you're kind of always ready, yeah, with a permanent one, ser, and you're always listo, you're a smart guy, you're switched on. So yeah, that's number 1, ser versus estar. Number 2, second biggest mistake I see my English natives use when they speak Spanish is thinking too literally and translating phrases directly from English into Spanish. Now I teach my guys techniques that enable them to never do this ever again, and it's all to do with listening and becoming a master listener. But it's normal, it happens. We use our native language and we translate things directly into our target language. And what I see far too often is English natives saying, estoy vale. Sorry, what? Estoy vale. To a Spanish speaker, yes, to a Spanish ear, that makes no sense. What they're confusing here is, in English, certainly in Great Britain, where I'm from, we say, I'm alright, yeah? And alright is where they've translated vale from, because to say, okay, like alright, I'm cool with this, I agree, vale, that's what we say in Spanish, vale, but you wouldn't put estoy vale. You just can't say it, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. Estoy vale? What? No. Estoy bien. Yeah? Estoy bien. And this is why you will hear Spanish speakers, when they speak English, overusing the word fine, which when I taught English in Spain, I banned that word actually, because I would ask my students, how are you today? And they would say, I am fine. What a terrible response. Never say, I am fine, guys. Say something more interesting. Anyway, that's another video in and of itself. That's the second one, guys. Translating things literally. To avoid this, all you've got to do is listen more. If you've never heard a Spanish person say estoy vale, why are you saying it? Stop. Listen better. Alright, mistake number 3. Again, I feel bad about calling these mistakes, because they're really... they are mistakes, but whatever. Everyone makes them. It's the false friends, yes? Los falsos amigos. Okay? We've got classics like actualmente. Actualmente, you'd think that means actually, as we say it in English. Like, oh no, actually, I agree with you. Actually, yeah. Yeah, in Spanish, actualmente doesn't mean that. It means at the moment, like in actuality, right now, right here, right now. Actualmente, how would you translate actually? You'd probably more want to say something like en realidad, in reality, de hecho, something like that. But false friends, I made a video on false friends. I'll link it somewhere on the screen or in the description box below with an American guy who also speaks Spanish. We talked about classic false friends between the two languages. There are loads, but that's another mistake I see people make. So be aware of those. Be wary of the false friends. Number 4, the fourth mistake I see a lot of native English people make when they speak Spanish is something very dangerous, something you don't want to do nowadays in 2024. Misgendering. You don't want to misgender words in Spanish. In Spanish, you've got masculine and feminine words. We don't have this in English. For us, it's a right conundrum, right? A table is a table. It doesn't have a gender, doesn't have any bits on it. It's just a table. Table is table. In Spanish, it is feminine. Una mesa. Una mesa. And this can be a tricky concept for non-natives to pick up, especially if they don't have gendering in their own language, like in English we don't have it. So what I do to get around this is always learn the gender as you learn the word. Don't just learn one word without knowing its gender. For example, teléfono, yeah? Make sure you know it's un teléfono or el teléfono. That way you know it's masculine. Now, obviously there's a rule. O at the end of the word and O at the end of the word is normally a masculine thing. A at the end of the word is a feminine thing. However, as always, there are exceptions to this rule. Some of those are problema. Problema, it looks feminine, right? You think problem looks feminine. You think it's a feminine thing. You think it's for the ladies, the problem. Actually, it's it's for the man to sort out. Masculine, el problema, we say, el problema. And you see this with other examples. Just sometimes when the word doesn't sound good in Spanish, the word stays feminine, but they change the before it. For example, agua, water, is a feminine word, right? However, they don't say la agua just because it sounds, horrible. La agua. Okay, so they say el agua, but this doesn't change the gender of the word. So my point here is, yes, gendering of words is very difficult for us English natives. All you've got to do is learn the words in context and learn them with the el or the la before, never the word on its own, okay? Make sure you learn the gender when you learn the word. You'll save yourself big headaches in the future. And the fifth and final mistake I see a lot of people make, just because we don't have it here in our native language, English. Oh, that's a lie. We do have the subjunctive, however, it's nowhere near as common or used as it is in Spanish. In Spanish, the subjunctive is used a lot. And again, it's not really a mistake because it's just one of those things you learn along the way. But anytime you say something like quiero que, I want that, okay, wishes, hopes, desires, things that are not true, the subjunctive is used. It's like a mood rather than a tense, right? It's a feeling. You can get, you vibe into the subjunctive. That's the best way to learn it. So this one is something that, don't worry about getting it right, avoiding it. Just listen carefully and eventually your ears will start to pick up what sounds good and what doesn't. For example, if I say, quiero que vienes a mi casa, doesn't sound good. Quiero que vienes a mi casa. Quiero que vengas a mi casa sounds good to me. Why? Vengas is the subjunctive, and vengas gives it it's a future, it's not a certain thing. Like, tú vienes a mi casa, you come to my house. That's like 100% nailed on. You come, vienes a mi casa. Quiero que vengas a mi casa is like, I want that you come to my house. And this is how I translate in my head. I don't translate, I want you to come to my house. I translate literally. I want that you come. Quiero que vengas. Start doing this, translate literally in your head, and you'll start to realize when the subjunctive is going to be triggered. But also remember, it's all about communication, not perfection. So if you don't know the subjunctive, just say it in the present tense, or however you can. Just communicate the verb, and then listen for the other person to correct you. Because they'll say, you want to use the subjunctive there, don't you? And you say, yes, I did. Just didn't know how to do it. Well, guys, that's all I've got for you today. Thank you very much for being here. Thanks for subscribing. Like this video if it has been useful for you and it's resonated. Stick around for more videos. I'll be uploading a lot more frequently. Now I have my beautiful setup here. And yeah, have a beautiful day, and I'll speak to you in another moment.